I wanted to be a fighter, but then I saw Roberto Duran, and I said, that's who the fuck I want to be.
In the shadows of the boxing ring, where legends are born and majesty is whispered through time, one name stands out. Yes, we are talking about Roberto Duran. Will anyone be as great as he was? Duran stands alone in boxing history, his skill and nickname, Hands of Stone, marking him as unique. How does his success come from deep inside? In this video, we find the truths behind his reputation as we think about his impact. Let's get into it. Roberto Duran was more than simply a terrific boxer. His career was legendary, and his boxing achievements are difficult to believe. He competed in 119 professional fights, winning 103, 70 by knockout, and losing just 16. He won titles in 4 different weight classes and battled for 5 decades, from the 1960s to the 2000s, with his final fight coming at the age of 50. And yes, Duran reportedly took down a mule with one punch when he was 14 years old. Duran was a powerful puncher whose competitiveness frequently astounded the crowd. Therefore, this claim appears to be true. In such a match, few would have backed the mule. Well, now that we explore the career of Roberto Duran, was he truly one of the greatest boxers of all time? Have you ever heard about the mean streets of Panama? Roberto Duran was born in Panama in 1951 and grew up in the slums of El Chorrillo, located in the La Casa de Piedra, House of Stone, neighborhood. Yes, the Hands of Stone descended from the House of Stone. But who'd believe it? Duran's professional boxing career began in 1968 at the age of 16 following a brief amateur career. Fighting with no professional training, he went undefeated in his first 21 fights before wealthy landowner Carlos Aleta purchased his contract for $300 and paid trainers Ray Arcel and Freddie Brown to teach Duran the finer skills of pugilism. Duran then transitioned from a deadly puncher to one with exceptional defensive abilities. Oh, and he could throw a tremendous left jab and take a blow, which are both needed characteristics of a champion. So, it's time to discuss the first title fight. Duran began fighting as a featherweight, 127 pounds, but his first title fight was for the World Boxing Association's WBA Lightweight Championship at 135 pounds against Ken Buchanan at Madison Square Garden in 1972. Duran pounded Buchanan about the ring for 13 rounds, was significantly ahead on all scorecards, and then hit Buchanan with a body shot at the end of the 13th round that Buchanan's trainer mistook for a low blow caused by a knee to the groin, which the film showed was not true. Nonetheless, because Buchanan was unable to complete the bout, Duran won the championship via a technical knockout. Even though everyone with 2 good eyes could see that Duran didn't have to be a vicious fighter, some people still thought he was. Duran had a 29-0 record at the time. So, let's talk about his career as a lightweight, shall we? Duran won his first 31 fights until losing to Esteban de Jesus in a non-title light welterweight affair. De Jesus, a skilled fighter, outpointed Duran for 10 rounds and won the fight unanimously. Duran defeated de Jesus in a rematch 2 years later, using a combination of left hooks to the body and a spectacular right cross to the head in the 11th round. For years, boxing fans recalled the punch. Have you ever heard of Sugar Ray Leonard? Duran, who had a 62-1 record, relinquished his lightweight belt in 1979 and began fighting at welterweight, 147 pounds. Duran continued to win and soon faced Sugar Ray Leonard, the undefeated WBC welterweight champion. The match took place at Montreal's Olympic Stadium, where Leonard earned a gold medal in boxing at the 1976 Summer Olympics. Duran did not appreciate the notion that he would be paid 1/5 of Sugar Ray's salary, so he ridiculed and insulted Leonard in press conferences leading up to the fight, intending to terrify him. Duran clearly stirred up Sugar Ray, for he consistently beat Leonard to the punch, earning a unanimous 15-round decision in what became known as the Brawl in Montreal. Alright, get ready for a wild ride. We're going to dive into the No Mas debacle. Let's talk about the specifics and figure out what's going on. Duran appeared to have the cerebral edge in the first bout against Sugar Ray Leonard, which is equally essential in a battle as the physical aspect. However, in the second fight, which took place only 5 months later, Leonard was determined to frighten Duran. For example, in the 7th round, Leonard landed a right-handed bolo blow before hitting Duran with his left hand. Then, in the 8th round, Leonard delivered a good uppercut to Duran, who turned and walked away from Leonard, declaring "no mas" or "no more," thereby terminating the fight. Heavyweight champion Larry Holmes, a TV analyst for the fight, repeatedly said, "I don't understand." It appears that only Duran understood why he quit. Duran suffered a devastating defeat, and if his career had ended then, he could have been called the biggest chump in boxing history. However, Duran accomplished what many others have done in the worlds of athletics and film. Well, have you heard of the big comeback? It's a story filled with intrigue, shocks, and eventual victories. On a related topic, Duran appeared as a sparring partner in the film Rocky II, in which Rocky Balboa, the comeback kid, seeks another crack at the heavyweight champion Apollo Creed. Duran immediately returned to the ring, fighting as a light middleweight, 154 pounds. He lost close fights with Wilfred Benitez and Kirkland Lang. Duran then signed a deal with famed promoter Bob Arum and received a title fight against hard-hitting Pepino Cuevas, whom he defeated in just the 4th round. In November 1983, Duran faced Marvelous Marvin Hagler, the renowned middleweight champion. Duran survived 15 rounds with Hagler, making him the only fighter to do so. Duran led on the scorecard after 12 rounds, but Hagler won the final 3. Duran then fought another title fight in June 1986, this time against WBA light middleweight champion Davey Moore. Duran stated in the 4th round that he knew Moore couldn't injure him, so he constantly followed the champion, eventually knocking him down with a massive right hand in the 7th round and calling the fight off in the 8th because Moore could no longer continue. Duran's 32nd birthday happened to fall on this day by coincidence. Following the contest, the audience sang "Happy Birthday" to Duran, who openly sobbed. Regardless of the circumstances, Duran was almost always a crowd favorite and a hero to Latinos all over the world, and the iconic "no mas" debacle, as the renowned announcer Howard Cosell put it, faded into obscurity. Duran faced Iran Barkley, the WBC middleweight champion at 160 pounds, in 1989. He knocked Barkley down in the 11th round before winning a close decision. Duran was 37 years old at the time, and it is regarded as one of his most significant efforts. Ring Magazine declared it the best fight of the year. In the twilight years, it's a world where shadows dance with secrets, whispers resonate with knowledge, and mysteries develop quietly. Duran, now in his 40s, continued to fight as a middleweight into the 1990s. He looked impressive against several opponents and won the WBA super middleweight title in 2000 by defeating Pat Lawler. Nonetheless, he had lost 3 of his last 5 fights, which must have taught him something. Finally, in July 2001, he lost the super middleweight belt to Hector Macho Camacho and retired at the age of 50. It's crazy to think about, but finding a professional boxer with over 100 fights is like looking for a needle in a haystack. And winning 103 of those fights? It's like locating a needle in a haystack in the desert. Roberto Duran? Oh yes, he was legendary. Who fights until they reach 5-0? This is some real dedication right there. And it's not only his years in the ring, it's what he brought to the table. Duran was more than just a boxer. He was a force of nature. With thunderous fists and a steel jaw, he was something else. They couldn't get enough of him. Duran was known for his style, fury, and arrogance. Sure, he had his down nights, like the time he threw in the towel, but everyone is allowed to have a terrible day at work, right? Duran more than compensated for it with the several victories that followed. He was unquestionably a rare breed. And now that he's gone, it feels like the end of an era. When thinking about Duran's impact, it's hard not to be amazed by all he did. If you like this video, make sure to like it and also hit the subscribe button. Until next time.